Hello, Allie. Welcome to Wandermint Creative's YouTube channel. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hey, Melissa, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk all about low ticket offers and what you call tiny offers, if people haven't heard of that term before. So before we get into it a little bit, I want to introduce everyone to you. So Allie Bjerk is an award-winning digital marketer and demand generation strategist. Her frameworks, methodologies, and psychological background create a foundation for easy for all to access marketing and sales success. So do you want to tell us, is there anything else that I missed in that introduction that you would like to tell the audience?
No, I mean, it's always so awkward to hear your own bio being read back to you, but I think that pretty
Yeah.
well covers it.
It's so true. It sounds so
Yeah.
professional, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about who do you normally work with when it comes to these tiny offers and what you concentrate on?
Yeah, so my main focus is helping people who are coaches or experts or those that are serving their peers, helping them grow their businesses through their knowledge, info products to be able to get more leads, run ads, and be able to scale their high ticket faster.
Amazing. I love that. And can you tell everybody a little bit about what a tiny offer is if they've never heard of it before?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to set them up, but the main way is a product that's about $37 or less. That's built with a sales page that uses direct response copy to get people to make a buying decision for either purchasing that product or not from that page, using Facebook ads to get people to the page and to build visibility and all of that for their business.
I love it. I love that idea so much. And so why did you kind of decide to concentrate your entire business on tiny offers then?
Yeah, it's so I started about 11 years ago, and I was doing all the things for other people who were coaches and experts. I was a funnel builder, I was an ad strategist, I was a social media manager, website builder, like all of the things possible. And I really wanted a funnel of my very own, and I ended up launching a tiny offer funnel because that's about all I could manage to build that I wasn't scared of, and I was able to get it up and running, and it worked so well that people were asking me a couple months later, like, how did you do that? Teach me how to build that kind of funnel and teach me. And it's really become the cornerstone for the strategy that I help people with in all sorts of different ways, whether they're running webinars or if they are doing challenges or just helping people figure out how to liquidate their ad spend faster and get people into their businesses and grow their visibility through ads. So it's just become such a one size fits all strategy that I think I'm biased, obviously, but I think everybody needs a tiny offer in their business. And it was really easy to make that my main thing because I just believe in it so strongly.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the power too, like when I started implementing it, I only just got my tiny offer off the ground, is that it can be a really great replacement for a freebie. Because we know how many times have we talked about you need a lead magnet, right? To grow your list, to grow your list. And I
Yeah.
think that having a tiny offer or a low ticket offer is such a great way to build that list, but also get paid on the back end of it
Yeah.
as
Yep.
well.
And the idea is that you're building your list with a higher value customer that, well, someone who is a customer already. They're already invested and they already see you as an authority. It's not just a freebie they grabbed and they're not going to open. Like, they're going through the material because they paid for it. So they're seeing your face on video and they're interacting with your content and joining your communities. And it's such an easier way to get people, a little bit deeper into your business so that they're more likely to ascend into your other stuff too.
Yeah, I totally agree with
I
that.
agree.
I tried the freebie thing and they're great too, right? I think you need to have both strategies in your business for sure, but I
Yeah.
think having that tiny offer and like you said, that higher committed buyer that's going to actually
Hmm.
go through your material is so important. But the
Yeah.
one question I kind of always had when it comes to tiny offers, and if anyone's watching, maybe they'll have this question as well, is that what point in your business should you be creating a tiny offer? Because it is a little bit time consuming, right, to get everything
Yeah.
together and more than just like a free checklist. So at what point in time do you think people need to implement it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different ways that I think about this depending on where somebody's at in their business. But to run ads and have the whole tiny offer suite where it is a funnel and there's like a front end and an upsell. If you're a little bit further into your business and you feel like you're maxed on time, or you're tired of being on social media all the time, it's like if you're reaching a point where you want to grow further than your bandwidth will allow, then that's a really great time to start running ads and use the tiny offer strategy. There's another way of thinking about tiny offers, and that is thinking about, testing different concepts with tiny offers. So if it's like a workshop that you're selling for $27, or maybe an audit that you do for $97, without all the funnel stuff and without having ads running to it, there's a way to use that impulse level price point to be able to get offers out into the world very quickly. So if somebody doesn't have clarity around what they do or who they want to serve, then, it's like starting with a tiny offer. So I think that's something I've struggled with, of like how to talk about it in both directions, because I've seen it work really well for people that want to scale. And then just knowing that people who are just getting started, it's not a scaling tool as much. It's more of like a clarity bringing tool.
Yeah, that's such a great point, actually. And even for people who are service providers, I could see that working really well. Because sometimes I have service providers come to me and they're like, well, I don't know how to get on YouTube, or I don't know how to create a freebie to bring in clients from a traffic source. And having some sort of small workshop or a small service that they could do would be the perfect way to do that. So I love that.
Yeah.
Thinking about a tiny offer in that way, I think is incredible.
Yeah. And because I came from the service background too, I remember how hard it was to transition into selling my knowledge instead of my time, and like not having a deliverable that I have to give them by a certain date. It was a really hard move or transition to go from being paid for what I could create versus what I knew, and being able to sell a tiny, consult or an audit or something was a really easy leap for me that made it feel a lot less scary.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think you came from a graphic design background, right?
Yep.
Yeah, me too, which is funny. I always, when I found that out about you, I was like, that's so fun. Me too.
Yeah.
And it is hard, right? To like transition into, okay, how do I take everything that I've been doing for clients and turn it into a course or something like that you can then scale? And then how do you bring traffic in to scale it up? So I think that having a tiny offer on the front end is a great way for people to not only get on your email list, but also kind of tease you who you are and like what you can provide and the knowledge that you're going to teach them.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Like it's almost like a sample or a trial size or an appetizer, like just gets them ready for the bigger thing that you have.
Totally. Yeah. So when it comes to, I know, I'm a YouTube strategist, so I talk a lot about organic traffic and bringing in leads that way. But I know you talk a lot about Facebook ads. So do you need to be running Facebook ads for a tiny offer to work?
Not necessarily. I mean, that was always my background and my knowledge was Facebook ads. But I have a friend who has a huge YouTube channel, and he did a video about tiny offers, and he's still making sales as an affiliate for the. I had a tiny offer available for his audience, and it's been months, maybe even years later, and he's still making sales from that conversation that we had. So I think it's whatever your specialty is, wherever you're spending your time and hanging out, that's going to be the best place to do it. Or wherever your comfort level is and you're going to pay attention to how it's doing and optimize it, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So I'm glad you said that because,
ads not required.
Yeah, ads not required. Because I know for me, like Facebook ads to me is a scary world. I know a lot of people probably feel that way is, once you dip your toe in, are people going to convert? It seems like a whole different ball game, whereas organic feels a lot more comfortable for people. And so it's nice to know that, you can start with organic traffic and still be very successful. I mean, I've built my business completely organically with no paid ads. So you can do it if you're watching this and you're like, I want to implement a low ticket offer in my business or a tiny offer. You can do it with organic strategies like YouTube or like social media marketing or email marketing or whatever it is that you want to be doing. And then when you're ready, you can add fuel to the fire with Facebook ads if you decide that way.
Yeah, there's so many ways to promote it. But it does. For me, it's replaced freebies. So anytime I have a free gift for you guys, but other than that, like usually I only have tiny offers. So it just allows me to be able to do partnerships with people too. If they, we do something together and then they can sell the tiny offer and keep, part of the profit from that. So it's been a great strategy to be able to use in in the way of thinking that all roads lead to the tiny offer when I'm, doing social media and stuff. There's always that front end funnel.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up the partnership piece of things, because bundles and things like that have been such a big thing, I feel like, in the last year or so, like
Yeah.
mini audio summits and bundles and, all those different things. And so if you can have, like they always ask you for a free thing, and then they say like you can have the bigger thing on the back end that people will pay for. So having a tiny offer for that would be incredible as well, because you're providing so much value and bringing in those leads that way too. So I love that you brought that up, because there is a million ways, like you said, to all roads lead to your tiny offer. Yeah.
Yeah. It just opens up a whole different way. It's like I can't unsee things in terms of tiny offers now. And I think people who have launched one and now they're getting paid to get leads on their lists instead of freebies, like you can't unsee it. Then it's like, oh, this could be a tiny offer. I could create this as a tiny offer. And then it just totally expands how you think about getting leads into your business.
It's so true. And it's like that shiny object syndrome of an entrepreneur. I remember when I was first mapping mine out, and I think I might've been talking to you about it, and I was like, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And it's like, okay,
you can do it all, but
one thing
not
at
one
a time.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So I completely get that. Once you understand the strategy and once you see how powerful it can be, you definitely are having all of these different ideas coming to you of what kind of tiny offer you want to be creating. So take it one step at a time.
Right.
For sure.
Yes. Better to get one and done and out and available for purchase than to have like 10 ideas that are all unfinished. And I've definitely seen people do that. So I think in my coaching, that's where I'm like, nope, like funnel vision, get the blinders on, just one idea until it's done, and then you can play around.
Exactly. Yeah. I say the same thing to my coaching clients when they're trying to build their funnel on the back end of their YouTube videos too. It's like, there's so many different ideas, but let's just stick with one simple one. Let's get it up, and then, tweaking and making it better from there. So if you want to use a tiny offer as the back end of your YouTube video, then definitely check out Allie's stuff, because she's got a lot of great courses that I have taken personally, and they're great. So yeah, of course. Anyone who's watching live, if you have questions, please drop them in the live chat, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. If you're watching the replay, you can always comment, and I'll make sure to reply and give you any resource that you might need to answer that. So now that we kind of understand what a tiny offer is, why you should be using it, can you tell people like what are the first steps on how to get started with one?
Yeah. So I have found some of the easiest places to start are really listening to your audience and figuring out what they think they need. Sometimes as the expert, we jump in with what we know they need. And that's not always where their brains are at. So we want to make sure that we're really listening to our audiences and trying to figure out what is going to save them a ton of time. So what is the big win that we could give them through templates or swipe files or things that are really plug and play have been by far the easiest thing to sell and to get converting in the tiny offer format. And it also helps make sure that you're growing your list with people that do value their time. So they're going to keep investing in shortening that learning path, right? So they're going to buy other programs or join coaching programs or hire you as a coach. They really value their time the most, that they're willing to part with a little bit of money. So that's the big difference I've seen between freebies and tiny offers for sure on who it's building your email list with. But the biggest thing for me that I teach a lot is minimum viable product. So like, what is the smallest thing that you could get out into the market quickly, instead of getting really caught up into trying to perfect it and overthink it, because you're always going to learn from launching the product more than just thinking about the product. Like I launched a new tiny offer for myself on Monday, and I started ads on Monday, and it did not work at all. It totally bombed. I didn't make any sales the first 2 days. And so this morning I was like, oh, what is going on? Like this, usually if you haven't made sales in the first couple days from ads, something's off with the offer and the messaging. And I switched things around. I changed the name of the product into something that was probably more in alignment with what people think they need, instead of what I knew they needed as the expert. I didn't take my own advice, and I switched the name of the product in the, the logo of the product and in the back end of what they were getting access to. And I sold 4 of them in this morning after changing the name. So it's like,
crazy.
We have to listen to what people think they need and really get to know our audiences to be able to match that up with just making sure that it's the right offer.
Yeah, that's so interesting that just changing the name
Yeah.
would affect it that much, hey?
Yep.
Is there anything that, when you're putting an offer out into the world like that you specifically look at? Like, is there a checklist that you're like, okay, it's not converting? What are like the top 3 things you look at?
I look at the messaging of the offer. Well, first I make sure nothing's broken on the funnel, because that can
Yeah.
happen too. Like, make sure
Tech
that
problem,
that the cart is off of test mode, because I've totally done that. But so make sure the funnel is functional first of all, and then look at. I try to see if it's the ads or if it's the page by looking at how much interest the ads have. What's the click through rate on the ads? Is that the problem, or is it an offer problem? And the ads were doing great. For whatever reason, the ads were fine. And then the page was where I was losing people. So I looked at the page and I just tried to think of, is this the wrong angle? Is this what people really think they need? And I will split test stuff really quickly now. I didn't used to do that. I used to like set it and forget it and probably leave lots of money on the table because I wasn't willing to test things. But really trying to get into the brain of your ideal customer and think about what are they thinking as they're on the page? Is the offer clear to them? Do they know what the result is going to be from what they're buying? And the mistake that I made, which is, like marketing 101, I was selling the plane ticket, not the destination. And I think that's a really good thing to run through anytime you create offers, is making sure that you are pitching or helping them see what the end result is going to be instead of selling the process. So
Yes.
that was the big mistake that I made on this week's offer.
Yes, I love that. It's definitely marketing 101, but so easy to forget because we're so in the weeds with our businesses. Sometimes
Yeah.
like we get tunnel vision and we don't see like, what is it, the
Yeah.
forest from the
And we're
trees,
so
or what is it
smart.
that
Like,
saying?
we know so many things and we forget, like, when you haven't been doing this for so long, like other people don't know all the stuff that we know.
Yeah, it's so true. So the title and looking at the data over the drama, right, is
Yeah.
really
Oh
kind of
yeah. I
my
love that.
biggest takeaway is what you said. Like, definitely look to see like what is happening with the numbers and not just looking at your page from your own eyes, because
Mm-hmm.
like we don't know what our audience is thinking. So look at the data. I think
Yeah.
that's really, really important takeaway for everything in marketing, honestly.
Yeah. And I think not being so attached that we're not willing to change it either. I think when that's one reason why I try to get things out into the world so quickly, is because then it allows me to really look at it and not feel so attached. Like, I worked for a year on this product and I named, I painstakingly figured out the name of the product, and how dare someone not click on it? And then we just like, we get so attached to our products as if they're part of ourselves, especially as personal brands. It's like,
Yeah.
we take it personally when our stuff doesn't convert. But if you can detach and just look, data over drama, I love that, and
Mhm.
be able to figure out, if this wasn't my idea, what would I think about it if I saw this, and being able to look at it from an outside perspective and see if you would buy it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I feel that way about my tiny offer right now, right? You put so much work into it and you think it's so amazing, and then you have to kind of remove yourself and just be like, okay, well, what can I do to make it better? Can the sales page be better? Is my call to action funny? Is the title of the product wrong, right? All those
Yeah.
things. So that's really, really interesting. So anyone watching, if you have comments or questions, definitely leave them in the chat and we will answer them for you. But I kind of want to move into, you said getting things up quickly. And I know that's
Hmm.
always like a huge barrier for people when they first get started with anything. I hear it all the time when people want to start a YouTube channel, is how can I do it quickly? How can I get results quickly? So
Yeah.
what would you say to someone who wants to get a tiny offer up as fast as possible?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, there's so many tools right now, especially with Chat GPT and automation, like to be able to go to Chat GPT and ask it for offer ideas. I mean, you could have your offer designed from AI. You could have it write your sales page and figure out what, if you're creating a training, I just did this the last week, like have it create the modules of the training that you're creating and even the slides. Like, then all of that stuff that can really suck a lot of time is done, and you can customize it and add your voice and add, as you're recording any trainings, you're using bullets that were created with AI, but you're telling stories about it as you're going, or you're adding your own concepts and inflection. And it helped me get it. I created this new tiny offer in less than 6 days and had it up and running. And I've never created one that fast before. So it was really having the tools and having the templates in place to get it done quickly really helped. And not being afraid to use AI to support it, knowing that, I'm still the creative, I'm still the expert. It's still going to be great because I'm going to add all my own stuff to it once it's created.
Yeah, that's a really good advice, using AI, because it's like you said, you're still the expert. You're just using it as a way to prompt you, is kind of like what I like to think about it is. It's giving you the bones of it, and then you're adding in all of your expertise and your stories and things like that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, really, really good. So what would you say is like the first place to start with AI? Like, would you say, here's an idea for a tiny offer, help me write the outline? Is that kind of where you would start?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what my exact prompt what it was, but I said I would like to create I think I said mini course. I am a coach and I help people learn. And this last tiny offer I created was about like how to open up conversations on Instagram that will turn into sales. So I said I'm creating a course about this, and I need some ideas on what could be included or what the name could be, and what the bonuses could be. And it just filled out the entire idea of what all the different pieces of this tiny offer could be. So I try to be as detailed as possible when I'm asking for something, like who I am, who it's for, what objections they have, like where they're feeling stuck, where they need the most help. And then it will, because the more information you give it, the better the response can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I like that, prompting it first, especially about who you are and who your audience is, and like what they are actually looking for instead of what we think they're looking for.
Right.
We've seen lots of, like we've talked about before,
Yeah.
we've seen lots of prompts, even like floating around Facebook and stuff, about getting customer data, like customer voice data from ChatGPT. So I think that's incredible too. If you did that first, and then you use the prompts you just talked about to create your tiny offer, you've done what used to take us weeks to get on calls with
years.
people and, go,
Right,
years, go through Facebook groups and all this stuff. Like, you're literally have a tool that's going to collect all this data for you so quickly that you can, again, like you said before, get your product, your tiny offer out there and test it. Because if you're spending 3 months creating your tiny offer, I mean, I kind of was guilty of that, I'm not going to lie. Didn't take my own advice, but
no, it totally happens.
Yeah, if you can get it out quickly, then you can test it and make tweaks to it. And that's the fastest way that we can, scale as entrepreneurs, is getting things out there in the world and testing them. So
yeah, the first one always takes the longest. Now you've got the process and the system, and like 2, 3, and 4 could be super fast.
Exactly. It's like what I tell people with YouTube videos, right? It's like, oh, the first one feels like it's so hard. Like, how do I film and what do I need and all these things? And then once you have the system set up and you're ready to go, it's like fast and it's like batching it. So the next one will be faster.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to recap for everyone watching, if you're looking to get started with a tiny offer, this is what we need to do. We need to, do customer research, right? Figure out what our audience is actually looking for, not what we think they're looking for. Then we need to create a product quickly, something simple. Maybe it's something you guys already have, like a checklist or an ebook, something lying around that you can make a little bit bulkier. And then what would you say is like the next step after that?
Really figuring out how you're going to get traffic to it. So it could be making sure that it's in your link in your bio, or using it in your signature on your emails, like really just looking at all of the different ways people come in contact with you or engage with your business or interact with your business, and just make sure that there's easy access to what you've created. And even putting it on your website, it's really adding it in all the different creative ways that you can think of promoting it. And, having conversations like this one where you're, using somebody else's audience and promoting what you have, like thinking of those opportunities too, would be the easiest place to get started once you've got it.
Yeah, I love that. So you have 3 steps to get started with a tiny offer that hopefully you can take away from this live and start kind of looking and seeing how you can put that together. And if you want to check out my tiny offer that I created with Allie's help, you can click the link below this and check that out. You'll see
so excited.
everything in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about, I know you have a freebie for everyone that's going to help them a little bit more with their tiny offer. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So the freebie that I put together for you guys today is a collection of 14 different funnel maps. So if you have a webinar funnel or you have a challenge funnel, once you have a tiny offer up and running, you can really insert that into any funnel that you already have, anything that already exists, and be able to start running ads or start making a little bit money from your promotions by just infiltrating your entire process with tiny offers, and it will help you be more profitable overall. So that the guide will show you what all the 14 different funnels look like structure wise. It's a blueprint. So hopefully that will be helpful for everybody watching.
I love that. Yeah, that's such a good idea too, is that you can, even if you're not wanting to create a full tiny offer funnel yet, you could even just add an order bump with something you have, or
Yes.
add a one-time offer or something like that.
Yep.
And if you guys watching this are not sure what any of those things are, you can definitely check out more of Allie's training. So I know she's got a lot on order bumps and one-time offers and all of that fun stuff, but those are really easy ways. Yeah. I mean, that's great. The more we can automate our businesses, in my opinion, the better, right? And we can close our life, our laptops, and live a life without being strapped to it. That's everyone's goal, I think.
Right. Yep. I love it.
So I put the link for your freebie and the show notes below this live video. So definitely go and download that. Check that out. I will also put links to all of Allie's, tiny offers herself and all of her courses and things below that you can check out as well if you're interested in building a tiny offer.
Thank you.
Of course. Before we go, I always have one question I like to ask my guests is, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned in your business so far?
Oh, that's there's been so many lessons. How do I pick one? I think the biggest lesson I've learned this week, maybe the last 2 weeks, there's always something new, is to stop living in ideas, like stop living in hypotheticals, because I am a super strategic brain, very futuristic. And sometimes I get stuck in the water flow thinking of like, well, if I do this, then this is going to happen. And then if I do this, and then it keeps me from taking action on ideas that I have. So the biggest lesson is like, if you have an idea, just sprint towards it as fast as you can and get it done, get it checked off, because you're going to build confidence in yourself. When you finish what you started, you're going to get more results. Everything is going to be even better when you start running towards the finish line instead of just ideas and creation. It's like, let's get more things done, I think, is my biggest lesson.
Yeah, totally. Momentum, right? Is like the most powerful thing in the world. And when you, check off something off of your to-do list, it does build that confidence and you feel so much better. So I love that piece of advice.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I hope that this was helpful for everyone watching. Do you have any other closing statements before we end this live?
No, I don't. But thanks so much for having me, Melissa. It's been really fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. All right. We will talk soon.